Hello and welcome to the One People Show.
Hello and welcome everyone to the One People Roundtable show today. We've had some fun already, fun and games. Before going...
It's going to be a show of technical difficulties, I'm just saying.
We do have a full room. Thank you everyone for bearing with us for the last half an hour. It's been interesting to say the least. So has this last week, in every way, shape and form. Energetically horrendous.
Mentally
what's going on
horrendous.
Globally, mentally horrendous. The news stories that are coming out. It's been a hell of a week. It feels like I haven't actually said that for a while. For some reason, like I was saying that every week for a while there. Like it's
been a whole 5 days since I've said it. I don't know what you're talking about.
We were and still are hoping to have Duncan O'Finioan join us at some point if he can. That's been part of our fun and games this morning. He's trying to get him online. So if he shows up, that would be awesome. We're planning on having a conversation with him around magic and what that's all about.
And energetic fuck-upness. Because this last week, in case you hadn't noticed, little fucking... I don't want to repeat this last week. I don't want to repeat this last week. No do-overs. No do-overs.
Mm-mm. No.
Fuck-upness.
So,
words. Chad, it is a word. Fuck-upness.
Yeah, look it up in the dictionary. You'll see a picture of D. That's it. So, where do we even start this morning? Because...
Okay, well, let's start with the fuck-upness of this week. And you want to go ahead with yours, because Lisa and I have been separated all week, which may have been to the detriment of the planet, but okay. She is way down south. I'm way up here. So, Lisa, you go with yours, and then I'll go with mine, and we'll see if everyone else wants to... Huh? Yeah, like what the fuck?
So today's Tuesday here in Australia. Last Wednesday, I got slammed energetically in a very similar way to what happened to me Christmas Day a couple of years ago. I thought I was going to kind of leave my body again, and held on and held on and held on. It was intense. Excuse me. I'm also sick, which just doesn't happen. And since then, have just felt like I am swimming through mental soup. Have been doing a lot of sleeping. Wednesday, I slept all afternoon. It just doesn't happen. It wasn't until yesterday that I actually felt like I was clear again and was able to function. I couldn't focus, couldn't concentrate. Kind of emotional. Whether the physical thing started first, but I don't know whether they're connected. There may be. Lots of lung and coughing and expelling, which is often associated with grief. So maybe they're connected. I'm not sure. However, it has been picked up by some other people who have spoken to me in regards to timelines, which would make a connection for me, because when it happened a couple of years ago, it was all about timelines. So if there's more timeline fuckery going on, that would explain it. And I've noticed there's a rawness to everybody's emotional state as well, not just mine. It's It feels like a purging to some degree. And timelines. The timeline thing is interesting because, how do I explain this?
Good luck with that. Because
Yeah.
how do you fucking explain this? I don't know.
Dreams as well. Things are appearing in dreams. But so we are keen to hear if you guys have had some experiences or some, whether they're dreams or in your awakening state, whatever's going on at your end as well. I know that Dee and I have both had a couple of conversations with Jed in the past week about all this as well. But what about you, Dee? What's your energetic experience with the life?
Well, I mean, it was funny because when Lisa contacted me on Wednesday and was like, holy fuck, I was at the point of the conversation. I wasn't too bad. I was like, no, I'm a little off, or feel a little bit off, but it's okay. And from that point on, it kind of escalated for the rest of the week. And it was like a non-stop escalation every day. And what was interesting was, I don't know if it was because I was mentally prepared that something was going to go down or was going down, that I was able to kind of sit back and watch what was going on around me with everyone, not just, in physicality, like here, so everyone around us here, everyone was going through the same shit. Everyone was exhausted. All week has been a week of complete and utter exhaustion. Everyone has said the same things of like trying to walk through knee-deep mud. Everything you do is like, you have to pull and mentally as well, even just trying to keep yourself focused on shit. It's like everything was sluggish. Everything was slow. But there was also a huge amount of emotional shit. And I talked to a whole bunch of people, one-on-one, just either in Skype calls or here, like in physicality here. And I had people, and we had a good friend of ours show up at the house here, and his eyes were just like this. And I was like, you okay? And he was like, oh, yeah, I'm fine. You could see like almost like the madness. And I went over and I gave him a big hug, and I was like, what's going on? And he starts just all this shit, the stress, the thoughts that are going through his head, almost like panic attacks, like anxiety attacks that are so bizarre, like for stupid things, like the kind of thing that you just don't have anxiety attacks over, like all of a sudden being afraid that, you're going to get hit by a car and having a panic attack halfway as you're crossing the road going, oh my God, I'm going to get hit by a car. And there's like, why would you have this? And I looked at him, I said, dude, it's not you. He was, what do you mean? And he's like, it's not you, it's everyone. And I sat down, I talked to him, and he was like so relieved because he literally had himself convinced in his own head that he was losing his mind. He showed up. Oh, that was a big echo. Yeah.
I have heard, I don't know how many predictions for this year, whether they've been clairvoyant, channeled, astrologically, whatever kind. And so many of them have said that a great deal of humanity are going to lose their shit this year. Right? That people are going to mentally and emotionally just lose their shit. And two things have come to my attention in the last week. Again, how we talked about with Lily several weeks ago about what was going on in Russia with that spice drug. So there's also a huge explosion in these kinds of incidences in the United States that are quite bizarre. And these ones don't appear to be linked to spice.
No.
because there are no traces of any drug in their system. But what you've got is predominantly men. I think there's only been 1 or 2 women, but it's predominantly males who are found, and it's always the same deal. They're found naked, often covered in blood, in incredibly strange situations.
Like running down highways.
They're highly violent. Running down highways. There was one guy who went through a rampage down his street and actually picked up the neighbour's small dog and took a big bite out of it. And was found just sitting there with this dead, well, I think it was the dog that he started to eat. You know, so there is some weird noises. Is that in your background today?
One of the butcher birds just flew in and is sitting on my noteboard, the whiteboard. He's just sitting. Oh, there he is. Hold on. There he is.
Oh yeah.
He's just tweeting. Are you giving us a message, dude? Because seriously, if you got something to say it out. We're how we can understand. Because fuck.
So we've got these, and with this one, for example, this guy running, one of the guys, because there's been a few running down the highway that I saw, they cannot figure out how he got there. Yeah. There's no pedestrian access. There was no abandoned car. There was no clothes anywhere to be seen. They just can't figure out how he got there. I know that there are people who believe that this sort of activity that's going on is sort of demonic possession.
Yeah,
it's
that's the excuse.
We've got, but it's highly. If we do have dimensions converging, time, whether you want to call it timelines or dimensions or whatever, but if they are in fact converging, and we are going through what you and I've talked about many times, probably 6 months ago, this idea when we were talking about the Mandela effect, that we are actually assimilating other aspects of ourselves, but as well, there may well be people who are assimilating other things. It could explain the craziness.
Well, that was part of what we talked about with Duncan this weekend. It was like, I went through my own personal shit in the last week. Now, you guys remember, I think I talked, at least did I talk about it on the last roundtable, the dream? Where in the dream, I had been in a different timeline and I'd woken up and I was in a fucking different timeline.
But again, this goes to when we were talking about the Mandela effect, and we all talked about how we each of us have a prime. It's like the us that resides in this timeline.
And our primes in our group, as in i.e. Lisa and I prime. So D and Lisa prime are the original D and Lisa from each of our timelines, fractals, whatever. Well, I had that dream, was it 2 weeks ago? 2.5 weeks ago, I think, where in the dream I'd woken up and I was on a completely different timeline. I was with all the same people, but there was shit going on, like in the news, that I had not a fucking clue about. Everyone was talking about events that were going on, and I was like, what are you talking about? What are you talking about? And people that I knew were suddenly changed. Like at one point, one of the people that I knew, when I saw them, they were like 50 pounds heavier than the last time I'd seen them, like 3 days before. All this really strange stuff. Well, that pretty much is what happened to me last week. On a much more subtle level. And it took looking at a lot of shit going on around me. There was things like, we had incidences where, a couple instances where things were talked about. Events that had happened in the past. And I was like, that didn't happen. And it was very strange because there was just a few little things, and there was incidences that were mentioned, and I'm like, I don't know what you're talking about. And feelings.
There must have
been. I can't even, unless I said to Lisa, how do you even, we don't have the words to describe this kind of shit of people I was around did not feel like Lisa. Just to mention one, that wasn't my Lisa. The Lisa Prime I was with all last week was not my Lisa.
And I must have walked up to Dee 6 times and put my arms around her from, she'd be doing the dishes or, whatever. And just going, you okay? And she didn't feel right to me at all.
Yep.
So she wasn't my prime as far as I could tell. She was not the D from this reality, from this timeline.
Exactly. And there was a
But
change.
she's back.
Yeah, I'm back. Or we're back. How do you even define that? Like, there's no fucking words. And it was the same thing. There was a snap moment when all of a sudden I went, there was this huge relief of like, I'm back. Holy fuck, I'm fucking back. This is my timeline. I'm back. That's Lisa Prime and that's Nick Prime. And those are my kids, like my kids, not the kids from another fucking, and I know this sounds crazy, right? Like, I know that I sound like a complete raving lunatic right now. So when we talk about what Lisa was just saying, we hear people saying and prophesying that people are going to lose their minds, people are going to lose their shit. And we've seen articles coming out in the newspapers of people talking about, no, I'm dead. Like, there's a new mental thing where people believe that they've died. They believe that they're dead, and they cannot be convinced otherwise if they're not dead, or that they believe that they're from another time, or they believe, and these are all new mental conditions that they've just discovered. But that's what's going on. And I honestly think that for me, like I said, I knew as soon as it started happening, I started feeling this. It was like, oh, I know what the fuck is going on. That when I had that dream, I actually did cross over, and I am actually in a different crossed over timeline. But if you're not aware, if you don't have a clue of any of this kind of shit, and you all of a sudden are waking up and you're going like, I don't know these people. Who are these people? You're fucking weird. You don't feel like the person I know, or your coworkers just aren't the same, or your mom or your husband or your child or your aunt, and they're not, you would think you're going crazy. You would literally go, what the fuck is wrong with me? And this is what I was saying. This friend that came over, he literally convinced himself that he was losing his mind. Like, he was almost to the point of, though we didn't say it, I could see him saying like, maybe I need to go to the hospital and actually like check myself in. And then I had another friend. We had another friend, and it was the same kind of shit. And I watched across the board as people were literally losing their shit last week, holding it in, kind of going, okay, I'm not going to talk about this because I fucking talk about how I'm feeling right now. People are going to think I'm a whack job. And because they were all holding it in, there was this insularness to it of it's me, it's just me. And yet, like I said, me sitting on the outside, and I was watching this all play out. I was like, it's not you. And I literally spent last week either physically hugging people or virtually hugging people going, it's not you. It's not you. Take a breath. It's not you. It's everyone. It's all fucked up, and everyone's feeling it. And it didn't matter. I had a friend I talked to in Alaska last week, and she was losing her shit. I had a friend who was in Hawaii who was losing her shit. I had a friend in fucking France who was fucking losing her shit. It didn't seem to matter. Location didn't seem to fucking matter last week at all. It was just, and some people didn't feel anything. You're right. I see Barbara saying she didn't feel it. There was some people who didn't feel it at all, but it seemed like there was a whole pile of people. And when we talked to Duncan, it was funny because Duncan started asking me the questions like, okay, what are you seeing? And him and I started doing he's like, do you see this? And I'm like, yeah. He goes, do you hear that? I'm like, yeah. And he's like, okay, because his timelines are converging. And he says, and you're basically in between the flux, between the two. So you're seeing and hearing all this convergence going on. And
what do you think of the idea or the hypotheses that the ones who aren't feeling this are the ones who are solidly in this timeline?
Maybe.
And just not going through a converging process right now. And the ones who are
the ones who are fluctuating in.
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, this is the thing. I mean, I so wish we could get Duncan on here. Ooh, I'll try some of that. Thank you. I just got a nice drink.
Oh, Joseph, that wasn't me. That was Bradley Loves. He talked about an experience where he was very, very, very unwell. He had a heart condition and was not even able to lay down to go to sleep. He had to sleep sitting up in a chair. and he had a vacant block a couple of lots up from his place that had been there forever. And one day driving home, there was an old farmhouse on that lot that looked like it had been there for 50 years, including like old wrecked cars.
Old junk in the yard. Yep.
And he immediately called his brother and asked him, he said, do you remember the vacant lot? And he went, yeah, because they used to play there as kids or something.
Yeah.
And he said, well, what would you think if I told you there's actually an old farmhouse on it? And from that day, his heart condition was
gone.
Improved. Was gone. So that was his experience of a huge and sudden and very clear jump, what he calls jumping timelines. There is something, all I can say is there's something going on the last week.
Now,
what it all means.
Yeah. What the fuck it means, I don't know.
I mean, speculation.
That we were actually deep into that conversation when we lost Duncan the last time, and we couldn't get back online and all the rest of it. A couple of things that Duncan mentioned, which is why what we're going to end up doing is I think maybe at least we'll have to just grab Duncan at this week at some point in time when we're all online and just sit down and record something and then just release it that way, because we really did try to line it up to be with the show, and we just obviously it didn't work out today. Because Duncan, of course, gets all the reports. So as he's traveling around doing seminars on magic and about protection and etc., he's, of course, meeting people all over, and he's in contact with people all over the States and Canada. And he said he is getting multiple reports in right now. Of all the visual stuff and the audio stuff that I'm experiencing, he's getting reports of that all over the States from people who are experiencing all these crossovers. One of the other things he mentioned, though, which was really interesting because it wasn't something that I had brought up with anyone else, is certain rituals, if you will, that have always worked in the past, protective rituals, shielding, etc., that you do, that you're putting your personal shields up, making sure blocking shit out, etc., etc. Some of these things aren't working anymore. And he had multiple reports from other people saying, yeah, you know, the shit that we've always done to like protect and all this kind of ritual stuff that we've done to shield, etc., it's not working anymore. And he said that he is seeing shit cross over that shouldn't be crossing over. Basically, things happening that are, you know, by the old magical standards, had to be summoned by someone. Things are now appearing that are not being summoned. They're just appearing. And a crossover of rules. And that was where we lost all internet, funnily enough, and we couldn't finish the conversation. But I've had a lot of time to kind of think about this.
Look at Jeff's comment. I have noticed having to say no to programs twice. It's like the Matrix is mirrored and doesn't get the message of access denied the first time.
Oh, that's interesting, Jeff, because that's kind of... Here's the thing. I went right back to that quote, right? Arthur C. Clarke. Technology, further advanced enough technology looks like magic, right? And that was a really bastardized quote of it. But basically, science and technology, if it's far enough advanced, to us would look like magic. Science and technology. If we're talking about things like shifting of frequencies, earth frequencies, magnetic fields, geomagnetic fields, electrical fields, if we're talking about axis shift on the planet, this affects all these fields of energy. Like we said, the geomagnetics, the electrical fields, et cetera, et cetera. So if we're talking about technology that is just so far advanced that we think of it as magic, what we're seeing in this shifting that's going on right now could very well be interfering with the technology. The technology of what we've used to use, i.e. the magic, the ritual, et cetera, is not working properly because everything is in phase flux. Whether it's literally physically with the planet tilting and the axes of the planet shifting, which would then change all the geomagnetics and the electrical fields of the planet and the solar system, technically could be, but also just in the fluctuation, if we're talking about timelines that are coming in and touching and converging, and he talked about the theory of bruising. Like basically as dimensions touch, there becomes a bruising where they touch and a melding and points. And if you remember, like in the Fringe shows, remember every time the two dimensions would touch, there'd be bizarre fucking shit would happen. There'd be crossovers and all this shit happen. Going back to naked people all of a sudden running through the streets, losing their fucking minds. What if they're not on some drug? What if they're not? I mean, the reason they can't find their abandoned car, their abandoned clothes, etc., is that these people have shifted right through and they've come in from another dimension and they've lost their fucking minds. Literally. This is the Philadelphia experiment. When they talked, there was the one or two soldiers on the ship in the Philadelphia experiment that survived. They lost their fucking minds. They were completely insane because of what they went through, what they saw. Is this what we're seeing? Is this how it all plays together?
In Fringe, someone's asking what was the amber for again, and it basically sealed.
Yeah, sealed the hole.
Sealed that space of dissonance so it didn't spread.
Because once they touched and there was that opening, it became a weak spot that could open and close, open and close, open and close. So to stop, that's what the amber was for, was to stop it from opening and closing. They could freeze it and then prevent it from spreading or opening again.
There's been two films that I've watched lately. Jeff will be pleased with me. I watched The Kingsman, which if you haven't seen it yet, you have to. In The Kingsman, it's based on technology.
Yeah. Frequency.
Which, yes. So I'm sorry, I'm about to spoil it, right? So if you haven't seen it, block your ears. A frequency is sent out via technology that sounds exactly like, or the effect of it sounds exactly like the effect of this spice drug. Mm-hmm. It shuts down empathy, and it makes everybody homicidal.
Homicidal maniacs. It turns everyone into homicidal.
And it's a frequency that's put out.
And so the people kill each other off, basically. That was the whole game plan. Sorry, we just destroyed the movie for you if you haven't watched it.
The other one I watched was Fifth Wave. Now, this is one of those alien invasion films. And they invade through a series of waves. You know, the first wave was an EMP pulse to take out all the technology. You know, and the second wave was a global earthquake.
Oh, remind me on that EMP pulse.
What?
Just remind EMP pulse. Someone remind me. Go ahead.
Okay. Yeah. The fifth wave, as per the title, is to get people to turn upon themselves. Is to get the remaining inhabitants of Earth to kill each other off. So they become the fifth wave themselves. And when you put those two together, you look at what's going on in the world right now, it's like, is that disclosure?
Yeah. EMP pulse. Okay, we're going to jump over to a topic just because Lisa's brought it up, so I just want to get it before I forget. So I've been watching some of the shit that's coming out about the cache stuff because of the shit that we talked about the other week. There's certain things that I'm kind of monitoring to see what's going on. Now, apparently, and I haven't listened to the stuff, so full disclosure, I have not listened to it. I just went to Veterans Today, had a series of articles out. That's all where I'm getting my information from. So I'm just a gossip spreader, technically. Apparently, Cache has announced that it was his tech that brought down the American drone in Iran back in 2012 and killed the Donald Cook in the Black Sea back in 2014, and did a couple other things where technology was like shut down. And I just went, oh, snap. U.S. has just sent B-52s. A shitload of B-52s into Attar to fight ISIS. And I'm like, okay, the one thing we're hearing over and over again is there's the A-10 Warthogs and the B-52s. These are the oldest. The B-52 has been around since the Korean War. That's how old this plane is. Now, it is the plane that takes a licking and keeps on flying, right? I mean, there's so many stories of B-52s taking 200, 300 bullets and having an engine shot off and still flying. So you get it. But I said that, why are they continuously pulling these fucking planes out of the fucking plane mortuary and pulling them back up? The A-10 Warthog is another one. They pulled a bunch of those out. Bingo, Jeff. They're analog. Okay, so the new systems that may be added to them, so the guidance systems for the new missile launchers, etc., might be computerized, but their engines in those planes will be analog. There will be no computer fucking chips in those fucking planes, which is why they're still flying the F-15s everywhere. The original F-15s are still all over the world, and they're sending them up. They just sent a whole bunch of F-15s up to Finland. Why? Because their engines will be analog. They will not have any computer chips in them that can be affected, technically, by EMF. So you could fire off an EMF at these planes. It would destroy their GPS units. It would destroy their firing capabilities, but they'd still be able to fly because the engines themselves are analog. They are not a computerized engine. And I just sat there and was like, oh, is that confirmation? Is that confirmation of the Cache tech? Or someone's tech, let's not even say, never mind Cache, but is that confirmation of someone is using tech that is knocking these fucking ships, planes out of the sky? We've watched how many planes have disappeared under very mysterious circumstances. The Donald Cook, we have the fucking US, which one was it that just in January that wandered into Iranian waters, and the Iranians took them and arrested everyone on board. It was one of the US warships. Wandered into Iranian waters. So you sit there and you go, oh, snap. This is what we've always said. We said when you're a prepper and you're hardcore prepping, what is the first thing they tell you? You got to buy a truck that's pre-computer chip. You need to get, is it pre-1983? Is that it? I think in the North American brands, right? Got to have one that's so that if an EMP goes off or any kind of something that affects the computer chips, you can still drive the vehicle. And I just sat there and was like, that is why they're refinishing and re-pulling all these fucking planes out of heavy retirement. I mean, the B-52, like I said, this plane's been around since Korea. This is an ancient plane. Like I said, the A-10 Warthog, yeah, these are planes that are known to be able to just fly through anything. You know, they're crippled, they've got gunshot, they've had half a wing blown off, and they can still fly. But they're analog. And that's what I am convinced now. Oh, someone's just, oh, it's Lisa. Okay, Lisa came back. We had a weird echo there for a split second. The echo kind of went shoosh. It was like, oh, that was bizarre. So yeah, I just wanted to put that in there. If we're talking about shit that's going on around us, that's an interesting little twist. Why the F-15s? And is that the reason? And that's my big joke. Is that why the F-35 can't do jack fucking shit? Is it because every time the U.S. sends it up to test, someone blasts it with something and takes down its computer systems again? Because that's the biggest problem they're having with the F-35. It's not the solid state. It's the computer systems on the F-35 are a complete and utter failure. So why is that? Why is that?
Okay, does anybody in the chat room want to unmute and come out and add to this at this point? I can hear the kids at your end.
Hold on. I'll be right back.
Sure, I will, Lisa. It's Sheila.
Yeah. Hey, Sheila.
Well, I just found it very interesting that we were watching The Magicians. I think it's the latest episode, and it was dealing with time loops and the fact that the person who caused the time loop in the first place kept going back and changing little things here and there, trying to change the outcome. And I looked at my husband. I was like, "You've got to be joking. That is kind of odd." And then I haven't had the wild time that you all described. I'm one of the ones that has had a pretty good week, actually. I mean, not a lot of interaction, but that's okay. Feeling good and being, feeling great, actually. So I thought I'd add that. And then today I was watching an older, only a couple weeks old, wisdom teachings that David Wilcock does over on Gaia. And he was talking about the fact that the law of one material talked about how the solar system is going through a part of space where it's going through some energies that would cause people to lose their minds. Some people would lose their minds, some people wouldn't. And I found that very telling and of course that was recorded several weeks ago, even before the weeks old that I'm behind watching the show. So like probably back before Christmas is when it was recorded. So I just wanted to share that.
That's interesting because I didn't include him in my list of people who I've heard that from. So you could add him to the list. Even like Barbara Marciniak and Palladian stuff said the same thing. The 2016 is going to be the year that people lose their minds.
Right, and the law of one stuff was channeled back in the 80s. I mean, he's just, bringing it back up in his show because he considers himself a law of one scholar. But that information was channeled back in the 80s with a physicist, Dr. Don Elkins, and Carla Ruckert was the channel, quite accidental channel apparently. As she'd been with him for like 13 years while he conducted, sessions where folks were trying to contact people without success until one day she just fell into a channel. She was actually just his assistant. It was a very interesting story.
Yeah, I honestly don't know how I feel about the law of one material. I think it's...
Well, and I realize because everyone feels that way about channeling, and I do as well, but I'm just adding it because it's something that I've listened to and heard, and I find it at least telling in whatever way that it's coming from multiple sources, even those that don't agree with each other, which is rather interesting to me as a puzzle piece collector.
I'd like to know if anybody that channels has addressed the flat earth. Just curious. Because as far as I know, no one has. I have the whole Law of One series and I agree with you, Lisa, not sure what I think. Yeah, I've read the whole thing. Yeah, I don't know, it's one of those, there's truth mixed in with bullshit and manipulation and some harvesting and a whole bunch of things.
Well, you look at the Wingmakers. Wingmakers is equally old. Isn't Wingmakers from the early 80s as well? And yeah, I mean, you get a little of this, a little of that. Isn't Wingmakers the original pieces from information they found in the 80s?
No, I'm pretty sure that wasn't until the early 90s.
Maybe. I don't know. What's time? Fuck, I don't know what time is anymore.
Okay, so in terms of events around the world, apparently,
all insanity is broken out.
Yeah,
basically, it's just insane right now.
They've announced that they're not going to put up the Baal arches in New York. And
they've changed it.
The Christians of America, apparently.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. The Christians of America stopped them from putting up the Baal arches. But
it looks like they're just renaming them to the
Arch de Triomphe.
Arc de Triomphe.
Right? Well, and this is the whole thing. So you go in and you start looking. It's like, okay, for some reason that's not working. I don't know why. One, you go looking. So I'm going looking for the Arch de Triomphe. So I'm trying to find original shit. Well, the only reference to the Arc de Triomphe in Palmyra is starting from October 2015, when purportedly ISIS blew it up. I can find no, like, as far as news stories or anything else, I can find nothing pre-October 2015. Now, there is something in the older archaeological shit called the Monumental Arch. Okay, but not an Arc de Triomphe. Nothing listed. And it's at the end of Palmyra
Hey,
that leads right
I
to
missed it. Someone,
Baal.
hey, you're sketchy.
Am I?
You're fading. Hang on. Oh, you're back.
Oh, my internet connection is unstable.
Archon Triumph.
Archon Triumph? Nice one.
Nice one, Joseph.
Nice. Archon Triumph. Well, this is it. So there's an article that someone sent me. Sorry if I can't remember who it was who sent it to me, because I get so much stuff sent to me saying on my wall on Facebook this morning saying, have you seen this? And of course I had to shut down my computer to reboot and all the rest of it. So I've lost the actual article, but the article is all about the Arc de Triomphe that is going on in Trafalgar Square in London. And it's all about, the premise of the article is all about the guy who is actually building it. The guy who started this digital archaeological association, whatever. When we post this, I'll put the link in because you've got to read this article. I had all these pieces highlighted in it. The guy's not an archaeologist, but he has a degree in the word, I can't even remember what the word is, but basically it means the study of language origins, which I thought was interesting. Oh, and he's a lawyer, a prosecutor lawyer who specializes in murder cases. But all of a sudden he started this digital archaeology and apparently big things. He's been all over the world. He's dug up all this shit. I'm like, really? He's dug up all this shit? And what has he done with all this shit that he's dug up? Besides all the pictures he's taken. And then you get to this thing about the Arc de Triomphe that they're putting in Trafalgar Square. Now, we all talked about all the art. We've all read all the previous articles for the last month, right? They're using something that looks like basically a giant CNC machine. I don't know if you've ever seen a CNC machine. It's how they model and basically carve solid metal. But they're using this thing to carve marble. And in the article completely contradicts itself because it says this is set up in Tuscany, and a big deal. It's in the quarries where Michelangelo got his marble for all of his carvings and his famous statues in Tuscany. Yet that they've also said that they're carving it out of Egyptian marble. Wait, why are they carving it out of Egyptian marble? Why are they doing it in the quarries of Tuscany? It doesn't make any sense. And the whole thing is they're doing this CNC machine is carving and reproducing basically almost like a 3D printer through the digital images. They're finishing up this week. They're putting it on a truck in pieces, driving it across Europe to London.
Okay, stop. Somebody, apparently I have just signed in on another device.
What?
And apparently I just put a message into the chat room that says paramagnetics. So, Ben, if you've signed in...
Ben, is that you?
And if it's not you...
Darius? No, it wouldn't be Darius. It's not me.
I did not write paramagnetics. Okay, can you guys see that in the chat room?
Oh, leave it. I mean, that's fucking bizarre because you didn't type that in.
I'm in New Zealand. We're only using the link you sent. Stop being paranoid. Okay, that's Ben.
You're in New Zealand. I'm only using the link you sent. Stop being paranoid.
Can you log out, darling,
and
sign in under your own account, please, because it's messing with mine.
You're messing with our heads. Asshole. I love you, but you're an asshole.
You've taken over my messaging. I can't message, and yeah. So can you do that, please? All right. Okay.
Okay. So anyways, yeah. So they're loading the pieces of these, all these machine-carved arch pieces, replicas of the Arc de Triomphe, which is, there's no fucking record of this arch ever existing pre-October 2015 when supposedly ISIS blew it up, by a truck, driving it to London, England, across Europe from Italy and Tuscany, to set it up in Trafalgar Square for 2 days. 2 days. What? Can I get a, what the fuck? Does any of this make sense? And apparently archaeologists all over the world are just as confused as us, because they're all going, you just spent how much money to do what? What the fuck? Not only that, but this also sets a precedent. What this guy is doing, because they're talking about the machine carving the exact replicas and then hand patinaing them, like going to make it look all old by hand, like rubbing the stuff where you rub all the shit into the marble to make it look really old and gnarly. Stop these guys from basically making replicas of anything archaeological in the world, taking the original away and just putting a dummy in its place, which is pretty much, you know. Anyways, there's so many questions. Oh, and this guy is funded by the UAE, Harvard, Oxford, and private sponsors in the US. And they have to get it done by the 19th. Oh, on the 19th. Yeah. I'm telling you, shit is fucking weird. Now, one of the other things that's happening on the 19th, which just came up today, that I'm just kind of, because I knew about it, you forget. Oh, we need to talk about the forgetting. Don't let me forget to talk about the forgetting, okay? Because we have to talk about the forgetting. One of the other things that came up is we have a whole lot of financial shit happening right now. Now, again, I had an article that I was going to pull up, but I can't pull it up because I had to close everything down. And it's on a prepper website, and it's kind of going viral right now through all the dinar rooms, etc. And I went through, and every point they put in this article financially about what's happening right fucking now, I've cross-referenced and confirmed every single thing that's said. So, emergency meeting for the Federal Reserve called by Obama and Biden yesterday, Sunday and yesterday, with meetings with Yellen. You have the G20, all the heads of central banks, the G20 and financial ministers in Washington, D.C. this week on Tuesday, Wednesday, today and tomorrow. Well, it'll be tomorrow and the next day for you guys in the States. IMF meeting with the heads of banks on the Thursday, Friday in Washington, D.C. On the 19th, the one that I had completely forgotten about is the gold fix. The Shanghai gold fix goes online, and the gold-backed yuan. Gold-backed Shanghai gold fix. This could be the major, major fucking move of China on the 19th.
There's also been several calls from several sources that now is the silver time.
Yeah, several calls, several sources talking about silver is about to go ballistic. Now, we have Denmark and Belgium have gone to negative interest mortgage rates. Negative, as in they're paying you to take out a mortgage. We have confirmed Italy is in major fucked up. And Austria, both of them, I've started bailing in their banks. Now, I have a second-hand confirmation of a friend through a friend in Italy of someone who is a very wealthy landowner, just had all of his accounts confiscated in Italy. This is major. This is the kind of shit that we've been talking about. This is what Cyprus was about. Cyprus was the test. Greece was the test, where they come in and they fucking wipe out people's bank accounts. These laws were all put into place in November of 2014 in the U.S., that your money is no longer...
They're here as well.
Yep, and in Australia. And there was a new bunch of laws just put into place in Canada. I haven't had a chance to go through it page by page by page to confirm, but I suspect that there'll be fine print in that is the same thing, which basically is them confiscating your assets. Basically, anything that you have in the bank is theirs. So if they go belly up, well, then we also have the stories of Obama has just passed some kind of a law that to allow the banks to lessen the securities needed for taking up mortgages. Because, they're having an economic problem that people just aren't taking out mortgages because they're fucking bust-ass broke. They need more mortgages taken out, so they're lowering the standards of what's necessary to get a mortgage. At the same time as the housing bubble is fucking blowing in China, Vancouver and Toronto, Sydney, was it the other one was, I think it was Melbourne or Adelaide, I can't remember. There's these massive housing bubbles that are about to explode. And when they do, they're going to take down, it'll be as bad, if not worse, than 2008. And yet here's Obama lowering the criteria to get mortgages. At the exact same time, we just had Wells Fargo and Goldman Sachs make a settlement. They haven't been charged. They settled out of court to a total of over $6 billion for securities exchange fraud on the mortgages back in 2008 to the American government. That just happened this week.
They had to pay. Oh, so when I asked you if they paid who?
Yeah, who'd they
The
pay?
answer is who got paid?
It's a good question. I'm not really sure.
Hmm.
I'm trying to find out. It might be the American government or the U.S. Treasury, or is it the Federal Reserve? Or do anyone know where any of this, what I've been saying for fucking years, every single time we hear about these settlements that happen and these lawsuits that happen and they settle out of court, who the fuck is getting this money? Because if it's a matter of, charge Peter to pay Paul, which is what I suspect, where's this money going to? Because there's never an answer as to where the money and the fines are going to. Boom.
So this is not fear-mongering. This is
all
just being aware and forewarned and forearmed, because being aware of the fuckery that is going on is not necessarily fear-mongering, right? It's seeing and calling the fuckery that is going on.
Yep.
And it's going to continue to go on. Yep. So either put yourself in a situation where you're forewarned and forearmed. They have all given themselves the rights. They've all given themselves the rights to confiscate your funds.
Yeah.
So you can sit there and say, "Well, I don't consent," or "I don't." The energetics aren't going to allow that to happen, or not leave your money in the account.
Yep.
And so that would be my suggestion. Don't leave your money in a bank account. The day it hits your account, get it out. Keep it in cash.
Here's one of the things. We're hearing a lot of whispers about that whole RV, global financial system reset bullshit. I had a conversation with a good friend of mine, and what I said was if this RV happens, global currency reset, new financial system happens, all the laws are in place that the moment you put your money in your account, it'll be confiscated. It's already set up. Now, if you're involved in any of these groups, and I don't give a shit about the dinar gurus because they can all go fuck themselves. All these groups that you hear about are all bullshit. General 64 group was debunked years ago. Okay, remember, I was a good friend of Pete. Studley, who was one of the ones who set it up, was a really good friend of mine. So I know all about General 64 group. It doesn't exist. That cash-in group does not exist. There is no 1-800 number. There's no special rates. It's all fucking fraud. So all of these groups that they're telling you about, they're all fraud. They're all set up that you go into these Wells Fargo banks or whatever bank it's through, and if you deposit in there and you deposit your currency, whatever it is, into there, you will have it taken from you. You will have holds put on it. You will have to sign NDAs. You will have to have all these controls will be put into place. Maybe you'll get the little black credit card. Well, they'll give you access to a certain amount a month. Oh, you can have like 5,000 a month or something. But the money's gone. You'll never fucking see it. The derivatives hole is so big that it's unpayoffable. And I honestly do believe that, like I've always said, that this RV per se will be the last big hoo-hurrah of the system, because this is the thing that will bring it all come crashing down and make it all really, really visible. If it does go through, my advice to everyone, this is my official advice, is take one small note, cash it in wherever you can just to get some money, get the fuck out of the States, and go somewhere else. And I don't mean Canada. No. And I don't mean England. No. I'm talking like, as I said to a good buddy of mine in Florida, get all your dinar, put it in a rowboat, start paddling to Cuba. Get to Cuba, go to Venezuela, go to Peru, go somewhere way the fuck away and start doing your world jaunt where you start to deposit a little bit in every single country around the world, and hopefully maybe you'll have access to one of those accounts. And I know that sounds really, really pessimistic, but they've got the laws are all set into place. And the more people I'm talking to on this, the more I'm realizing that that's why they're set into place. If this RV ever does go through, they've got the ability to just take everything right off of you. Unless some white knights shut the entire system down, which is not beyond the realms of possibility, because we've talked about this too. There are supposedly, purportedly people in place to do that. But as the current system exists now, fuck yes, that's what you're going to get out of it.
I mean, like we talked about the other week, you know, that no matter whose version of reality you look at, even the ones who talk about, you know, this is the awakening, this is the event, we're going into the golden age, blah, blah, blah. Every single one of them says there's going to be a very uncomfortable period of transition, at the very least.
Even the prophecies?
I don't know of anyone other than pure like bullshit love and light where we go from this situation to some kind of utopia overnight and everybody just wakes up at once and there is some gorgeous event and we wake up in a completely positive reality and there's no casualties along the way. So just learning how to navigate this terrain, navigate this transitional period, to me is not fear-mongering. It's just preparation for what we're in and what will come and where we're headed. Yes, birthing pain.
Yeah, the world's in labor. Labor ain't pretty, guys. 5 times. Been there. Done.
Contractions hurt.
Yeah. Birth, not
so
necessarily fun. So,
and it's messy.
And it's messy. And sometimes scary. And you know what? I mean, this is one of the things. This is one of the love and light pieces of that whole new age meme that fucking pisses me off so badly. Is this, oh, don't pay any attention to this negative stuff. No, you must pay all. Don't. Oh, you're being so negative. Yeah, that's reality. It's not about paying energy to the negative, it's being prepared. And I've said this for years. And I mean, like I said, I used to be a hardcore prepper. I had 3 months worth of food, dehydrated and stored in my basement, water for 3 months, et cetera, et cetera. If you never use it, great. But if the day comes and there's, I don't know, a tornado, a flood, hell, the house next door to you burns down and you have to run out of your house. Do you know where your passports are? Do you know where your birth certificates are? Your wedding photos, your favorite treasures that you want to have? Called being prepared. And right now, if people, I'm sorry, I'm going to be really, really nasty. Apparently, I've got my bitch hat on today. If people think that this is going to be a painless little changeover, you need to stop drinking the Kool-Aid. I'm sorry. And that was the conversation we had even with Duncan. Every prophecy, whether it's the Hopi prophecy, the Mayans, the Celtics. Okay, these flies need to fucking go away. Shit, fuck off. Before the new beginning, whatever the new beginning is, there is a lot of hardship. There is, floods, and there's fire, and there is all these things. All of these prophecies all talk about the same thing. So you can say, well, the prophecies are planted, creating your reality and all the rest of it. Yeah, maybe. But do you want to have your head stuck in the sand and just deny that it's a possibility?
I just want to, Jeff's just right, if you're the observer, you don't have to experience the pain. And you're going to have to come out and clarify for me, Jeff, because I can be the observer, but would like to be the observer with some fresh water and some cash in my pocket and observe.
Yep.
So there's... And
the husband.
And I'm not. This is why we're
stand
talking
next
about
to
it the
the
way we
laboring
are.
wife and observe her in labor. And if she reaches out and grabs him by the balls during every contraction, he can be the observer all he wants. He's going to feel some pain. Sorry.
Because I'm being totally 100% sincere here. I really want to get what you mean.
All right. So, I mean,
because I know you used to be a prepper.
oh, big time. Had a bunker. But with all this awareness we've grown over this last year, especially, with the awareness, you can, I don't know, manifest what you need. I mean, you guys did it in Morocco,
Absolutely.
right?
Absolutely.
So with
But
that,
you can't do that when you're feeling lost and overwhelmed and scared.
Yep.
but would you really be, this group in specific, would this group as a group or whatever be lost and scared with the awareness we have?
No, I don't think
No,
so. But
absolutely
you telling me that you've got no people around you who might?
Correct. And I'm just saying, we as a group in those instances, we could lend a hand, sure, but we are observing them go through their challenge because they chose not to be aware. That's all I'm saying.
Okay.
I don't know that it's choose not to be aware, though, love. This is one of those things that, like I said, okay, so my own personal experience of this past week, I had people around me who are very aware people, very, if you want to use the word enlightened people, very, very awake people who were losing their shit because they were so overwhelmed with what was going on around them mentally, emotionally, energetically.
Yeah.
We can be as prepared as we want to be, but there's still, being there myself, having been there myself, there are times when you get taken down by it too. And you hope that you've got like a Lisa next to you to pull you back up by your bootstraps, or a Danny, or a Jeff, or a Ben, and our support structure is there. And we can be observers, but we still have to be prepared ourselves. It's kind of like, for me, it's like the whole thing when you're in the airplane, they always say, if the oxygen masks fall, you got to put yours on first before you help anyone else.
Yeah. I mean, and that's why I've done water fast and just all these other different things that I have 1 million calories per person for my family stored, and I will never eat it. I don't care what happens. First of all, it's probably GMO. But I'm just so beyond that. I will manifest what I need, and I'm not going to react or get involved with somebody else's challenge per se. I can acknowledge it and advise or be the example.
Because you're prepared.
Yeah, because you're prepared. Exactly. And I don't just mean prepared, like you said, like you've got this food there, you've got this water there, you've got, your bunker.
No, but you're mentally and emotionally and spiritually prepared.
Exactly. And
right.
All preparation isn't just about, having 3 months food supply or having your gold coins hidden in your mattress. It's prepared.
Yeah.
That makes 99.9% of the difference in this prepared.
But as a group,
manifest.
We've all been trying to help our friends and family get prepared, and they've chosen not to. It's a tough situation.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, well, that comes down to everybody having their own personal trigger, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. There'll be that thing where they turn it, whether it's financial or whether it's a so-called natural disaster or whatever it is, and they'll turn around to you at that point and go, holy fuck, Jeff, I should have listened. What do I do now? And you're the one who's prepared.
Yep.
Right. And I'll lend all the help I can. Maybe that's why I'm prepared or we are prepared.
Yep.
but I'm certainly not going to go down with them. I'm not going to enter into their.
No.
Oh,
No,
Right.
absolutely.
no, that's not what we're suggesting at all.
No, thank you,
Right.
Jeff. Because no, thank you for clarifying that. Because that's not what we're suggesting at all. Not even
Right.
a little bit. Because we are. That's kind of what we've always said. Is we are the ones who've been prepared. We have the ones who've been prepared. So that when everyone else loses their shit, we can stand there and kind of go, "Come here, okay, come here, okay, come here. Yeah, I got you. Okay, come here. No, okay, come here," and kind of hold shit together. That's kind of our job.
Mhm. So that's what I mean about being the observer and acknowledging their game. Trying to lend sensible advice, but not going down with their ship.
Oh,
Yeah,
absolutely.
no, absolutely.
That's what I mean.
Awesome. No, absolutely, Jeff. I agree 100%. Absolutely. Like
But
I
we
said,
will only not go down with their ship if we're prepared. And that means mentally, emotionally, spiritually, and probably even physically to some degree.
just having
And
these discussions.
even whether that physical preparedness is knowing that you will be able to manifest whatever you need.
Yep.
You know, whatever that looks like. But or knowing that you will be in the right place at the right time, and not in the wrong place at the wrong time. Whatever that preparedness is. I mean, even Steve talks about this conjunction. You know, that guy that famous that used to us famous footage of the guy driving the truck through the tunnel. You know, he wasn't prepared to run into himself. And there's no way of being prepared for shit like that. I wasn't prepared for last Wednesday. I wasn't prepared for the Christmas Day 2 years ago. But I was in the right place for that shit to happen.
But I would say you were prepared for last Wednesday.
How so?
Because, well, if you look at how bad things went for you on Christmas Day 2013, it didn't go that way.
That gave you preparation.
Because
Yeah.
you had your preparation. You already had your preparation. So while Wednesday may have been like, holy flying fuck on a stick, it wasn't Christmas 2013, and that could very well be you were prepared. You already had this basis. That's why I said even with me last week, it was the same kind of thing that I had while I was going through all this fucking turmoil myself. Like literally, there was a section of me who was quite able to stand aside and watch everything playing out and recognizing what was going on around me. Whereas a year ago, I probably would have lost my fucking shit just like everyone else was losing their shit because I wouldn't have been prepared. And I think there was part of it that was that preparation and the ability to kind of go, okay, I already know what's going on here. I don't necessarily like it. I don't necessarily agree with it or consent to it, but I know what's going on. It gives me at least a bit of a stable point to stand on while dealing with the situation around me.
Teresa's just sort of jumped in, I think, and she's asking if we're saying that April 19th is possibly the beginning of a shift. No, not necessarily. I think we're in the shift. We're well and truly in a continual process of shifting. But that there are spikes, there are peaks in the intensity. April 19th does seem to be a convergence date for a lot of events.
Yeah, even if it's a created one that the quintessential, they are creating a convergence time. You can still look at it.
If Jed's Jed's not still with us. Jed personally feels like something really, really positive energetically is coming and will be hitting around the 19th. And that the convergence of all of these manipulated events around that day and on that day are an attempt to hijack that, or co-opt it, whatever. Which is why we're going to do our kind of global campfire get-together for a 24-hour period from the 19th here. So it'll start in New Zealand with Ben, because he'll be there, and we'll work our way around the planet. That's kind of what we're what we're feeling and sort of summarizing or hypothesizing or whatever you want to call it right now. But the energetics do seem to be ramped up right now, and for the last week.
Complete exhaustion.
Very unstable. It feels very unstable to me.
Yeah.
And I don't know, Jeff, maybe you might want to add something to this, but if we are in what Steve calls this convergence of these two dimensions, there, and again, the Fringe TV show comes to mind, where the two touch. It's unstable.
Yeah.
And that's how it feels like that.
Did you listen to Steve Richards' last interview on that with that Ethan AAE?
I couldn't get
I just listened to the part that you pinpointed, which is where he talked about the convergence.
Yeah, that was the best description. Everyone, it's on CCN. The last 20 minutes of that interview were stellar about timelines, dimensions, whatever you want to call it, coming together, and what his research has shown could happen, or what he thinks. It's a very interesting take.
I mean, he sees, and correct me if I'm wrong, but from the conversations I've had with him, he sees a somewhat negative, dark period coming, doesn't he?
Yes, for the people that need to resolve that type of trauma. It's a chance for them to resolve that type of trauma. Whereas I think as this group, perhaps we don't need to resolve that.
So again, it's sort of coming back to that idea of resonating or attuning yourself to one of two realities, right? A
Right.
positive or and staying in 0 point. Oh, excuse me. I really didn't sleep much last night at all. Staying in 0 point. Does that keep you in that kind of no man's land, non-committal, sitting on the fence, 0 point, or do you kind of have to actively, consciously choose?
I think we have to actively, consciously, choose, deal with what's in front of us.
But if you choose, you act, meaning then you're in that game, whether it's the catastrophe or something else.
Well, isn't that the point, though, is to choose the something else, to choose the positive?
I think that's what even Anelia Benz's Psychic Assassin book detailed out, choosing not to choose and let both choices flow around you, and then you create something else, like Tom Clearwater's thesis antithesis. Those are your choices, but you can do the third choice, which is synthesis, something brand new.
Oh, okay. So this.
Go, Elise.
Oh fuck! I lost it.
Welcome to my world.
On the one, so in other words, like Lily said, with harvesting, it can either be done negatively or positively. So what if both realities are in fact a trap? The positive timeline, the negative timeline, they're both a trap.
Exactly. This is why
we need to create that whole something else that's outside of both.
This is why, Danny, don't get. This is why I have an issue with Star Wars. Star Wars is the perfect metaphor because the good guys are always fighting the bad guys.
Yep.
Those Star Wars movies never show you the third choice, the way out of this duality.
I agree. I completely agree. I mean, that's what we're shown in every movie. In every movie, this conversation was happening this morning. Brian Kelly's newsroom, someone posted an article about this Batman versus Superman, and Darius was talking about it. and Nick was talking about it, and all the movies are giving us all these pieces. And while they give us pieces that we go, oh my God, that's disclosure, like, so for example, The Winter Soldier, all the stuff about Hydra. Oh my God, they're giving us all these pieces. Oh, look what they're saying. But there's certain pieces that they are giving you that are like reinforcing of the theme, which is, i.e., the good guys versus the bad guys, that there is two sides.
Yeah.
It's always duality.
It's always about duality. There's never
the left hand or the right hand.
Yeah.
The left path or the right hand path. And
it always is. And for me here, this is all I can say. For me, when I look at this stuff, I can look, it kind of goes into the whole thing of me of like with the news, when I go through the news and I just file it away. I can become upset with it, and I do lots of times. I interact and I allow myself emotionally to interact with it, and I get really angry, really sad, whatever. But for the most part, I take it and I take these pieces and I file them away for future reference. And in that, I'm the observer. And what you talked about, right? And I sit there and I try to observe, and I can discuss what I see. I can discuss the changes of what I see in my perspective, but trying to maintain that place as the observer, not becoming emotionally drawn in or caught up into it. At the same time, I am the prepper, that I stand in that place of knowing anything can happen. And I don't have the answers. I don't have the answers of what's coming, what's going to happen. So I can hope, I can say, oh, it's going to be all positive. Oh, it's going to be all this, or it's going to be that. But I have to still stay in that place of, I don't know what's going to happen. So whether it's, Earth type catastrophes or war type catastrophes, man-made or shifting planet or timelines converging or whatever, I try to sit in that place of, if I don't know, if I can kind of just be even just mentally prepared, having not made any grand decisions. And maybe is that the whole thing of finding that place of not making a choice? I don't know. Maybe that's what we're both talking about, just using different words. I'm not making a choice, i.e. I'm not saying this is going to happen or that's going to happen or this could. I'm just trying to sit in a place where I'm open to whatever happens. And
Hey,
play out.
I just got slammed.
Oh.
I need to eat something.
Okay.
I'll be back.
Okay, Jeff and I'll chat. You go eat something
food.
right now. Don't fall over. No
Bring
more
Lily out if she can. Bring Lily out if she can. I want to hear what she...
Lily.
Well, no, I may not, but hang on. I'll be back.
Go away. Go eat. 'Cause I know, because I was in that place yesterday. I was like, I have to eat like right fucking now. Or I'm going to fall down.
So to just finish off that point,
Yeah.
We've been looking for the doors open or the synthesis. This matrix is vastly interesting, and I love rabbit holes and puzzles.
Mm-hmm.
But now it's every day. Oh, yep. There's
Another puzzle.
good choice and bad choice.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm just like, how boring is this? I see the positive, negative. It's starting to get boring.
No, you're right. Jeff, you're absolutely fucking right. Because how many times have we said this? I mean, you and I, how many times we had this conversation with Lily and with Lisa and just sitting there going like, so bored, done now. Next thing,
Yep.
Seriously.
Yeah.
And there's the exciting moments. Like, I mean, listen here. I wish all of you guys could experience just 24 hours in this house. What it's like when you have like a Lisa and a me and a Ben and a Nick and a Darius, and plus in other people coming and going, because it's an insane day. It's like 18 hours of just usual complete insanity of shit going on. And there's the exciting moments when all of a sudden you put something together and you go, oh, Ben, what was that date when such and such a treaty happened? And he goes, oh, it's this date. And you go, holy shit, guess what? And you go, click, click, click. Oh, look, we found some more puzzle pieces. Oh, okay, I'm bored now.
Yeah.
Because you get to the point where it's like you've just kind of already intuitively jumped to the fact that it's all interrelated. We know it's all interrelated. We all know it's all fucking made up fucking bullshit crap. And while the little pieces are interesting in and of themselves, even if it's just like little personal confirmations of theories that you've had for years, and then all of a sudden a piece comes out that confirms what you've been kind of secretly always thought years ago, and you go, yay, there's some confirmation. But in the end, it's fucking boring. It's so boring.
Yeah, and I don't know if Lily's going to come out, but we were talking at length.
I'm here. Can you hear me?
Okay, yeah.
Hi.
And, Lily and I were talking about how, well, her big research project or knowing is how the alternative media, do you want to go with that, Lily? It's an interesting loop, but yet it's a loop.
It is.
Did you see that? Do you see what's happening? It is so cool to watch how the next loop is being pushed through. It's coming to fruition. All of this.
It's like we just more and more. I've been joking about it for weeks now, the whole transparency thing. Like we asked for transparency and now it's just coming at so fast, so furiously. These pieces and the alternative therapy, the alternative media, it's unbelievable. Some of the shit that's coming out.
Well, because
give me the specifics, because I know you're referring to specific things. So I want to hear, because I've been so tied up in other projects that I haven't been able to see much this week.
Okay, the transparency thing. So I'm just watching how that takes effect in all these groups, because we moved on into collective levels of all of this convergence, or whatever you want to call it, lifting of the veil or whatever, ascension. It doesn't matter. It's all same thing.
Yeah, exactly.
In the end, it's all same thing. It's the way you embody it is the key.
Yeah.
So what I kind of watch is, because in alternative media, there is sort of a same structure, a control structure, and you know this, Danny. There's a control structure that sort of mirrors, everything else. Let's say just regular media. It does mirrors. It just mirrors it, and there is people in there that been talking about that, when ascension comes or whatever happens here, or the event happens, there's going to be transparency. And they didn't understand that it's going to hit them. It's like they were so clueless that they didn't understand that that's going to come and hit you. And you will be part. Exactly. And you will be part of that transparency. And you're going to do that publicly, because you're in the public.
Yeah.
With all the news channels and everything. So that's why they reveal themselves all publicly. They do it to themselves. They're living instant karma right now. And once that gonna tip, and the dominoes that facing that way, that is falling, the ones that are not the actual creators, like you were just talking about, that being in that creative moment, in the now moment, and having your own creation, they don't have that. And so those that don't have it, they need to copy from those that they do. And that's what a lot of it in alternative media, they were putting the information that they got from here or there, none of it was their own. And so all of that is not their own is going to fall away. And what they're going to stand with is absolutely nothing. Because as a human being, most of these people are very, very weak. spiritually weak and spiritually immature, because they just, all they do is copy. There's a lot of people that are copying your original thoughts. They're stealing our thoughts from us. They're snooping around and then coming up with all these ideas that as though it is their ideas. That's what Wilcox is doing right now. So when that came through, that, oh, Wilcox is talking about it. He's been stealing everything from every other human being. He has never had anything on his own.
Well, it's so funny you should say that, because I literally had a moment about 3 or 4 weeks ago when I said to Nick, I don't know if my ego has gotten completely out of control, and maybe you should just pop it, because maybe that's what it is. But there's so many pieces of shit that I have been screaming about for years, and that is now even mainstream media starting to come up with some of the pieces, and alternative media is turning around, and I'm like, they're all fucking copycats. They just fucking
Exactly, they're bad.
And I'm saying, I'm not trying. It's not an ego thing, because you sit there and you go like, fuck, whatever. But I literally was joking, saying, is it my ego? Am I completely out of line here by making that comparison of saying, dude, I was fucking talking about this 3 fucking years ago, and you guys are only just fucking catching on now? Seriously.
I know, exactly. That's what you talk about, you know, there's original people that do original thinking, do original creation, and this has been like this here forever. It's coming out more and
versus
more.
The bots?
Yes.
I'm trying to catch up without asking you guys to repeat anything.
Alternative media.
Okay, and what's going on in the chat room? It's like I'm not too sure I can catch up. But the good comment though, that there is a collective stream of consciousness, and that often people do tap into the same thing at the same time. We know that. But okay, I'm going to have to ask you to just reiterate a couple of points. You're having a go at alternative media in general?
Basically cannibalizing itself and having no original thoughts. And basically, Lily's, the way she said it was, they were screaming for transparency, not realizing that they were going to get taken down in the transparency.
Right. Okay.
Be careful what you wish for, right?
That's one of my favorite expressions. Be careful what you wish for. And
there
that's
seems
what
to
I've
be
been saying for the
some
last
controversy in the chat room though, and I'm trying to figure out what that's about.
Hold on, yeah. Hold on.
So
Says he feels honored that
Going on in the
travel
chat room.
eventually. So, you know, those that want a disclosure, they gotta be disclosed themselves first before any other disclosure can happen. So that's what they're doing. They're disclosing a lot of their crap right now.
I think everybody knows how I feel about Will Cook. I don't think I've been very...
That man had never had anything original to himself. Everything that he...
Drake, and that's why I'm laughing. Someone just said Wilcock is being exposed by Drake, and I'm going, okay, now that is fucking the pot calling the kettle black.
Well, when that transparency hits, you know, you're gonna have a few surprises. So I mean, it's so, you know,
it is unfortunate.
I just hope there's a lot of funny ones that we can have a few laughs about.
Yeah, they are all being used, and their egos seem to be the in.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
To be honest with you, Dawn asked, "Do you think he's just being used?"
Yeah.
Wilcock is anybody's puppet, as far as I'm concerned, who can give his ego a boost.
So is Drake. Drake
seems to be the same.
Yeah, because I know Drake. I mean, I actually know Drake, and I don't think that he's a bad person. I don't think Drake's a bad person at all, but he has a massive ego, and that he is very easily led by his ego. You feed into his ego, and he buys into shit. And So therefore, he keeps getting used over and over and over and over again. And I think that's a template that we're seeing on multiple levels, on multiple fronts, all over the place.
Exactly, Danny. Exactly. The template, it's the same template that repeats itself over and over again with these people, just like with Cabal. And same thing in alternative media. A lot of these people were, they just basically were immature spiritually and looking for something. And this give them the ego boost, and off they went, and they were controlled, and they had no idea. And most of the time, they have no idea who they work for. Just like most of the guys in the Cabal, they have no idea, especially the low-level guys. Those that are disposable. Those are that, we see their faces and all of that stuff. There's people that are behind it as well that are involved. So it's, it's the same template. This is how it works. And so it's gonna crack, and it's gonna have to fall apart and show itself for what it is.
I just want to say, I agree, Teresa. Who can see into someone else's heart? I completely agree. And that's why, like I said about what I just said about Drake, I don't believe he's a bad person. I don't. I mean, I have good friends of mine in the intel side who believe he's CIA, he's a shill, he's a paid agent, all the rest of it. And I'm like, no, he's not. I've spent enough time around Drake to just get the feeling. I know he's not a bad person. Go away, flies. But
we were all at.
I don't think it's mean-spirited
No,
to
I don't
call out what
cross.
we see as manipulation.
Yep.
It's not mean-spirited. I mean,
hell, been there. Been there.
we've been at the end of mean-spirited attacks. We've been on the other end of that. This is not about that. No, we're not attacking anybody personally.
Yeah.
This is about seeing what's being exposed, who's exposing themselves, and like, I'm not saying that David Wilcock is a bad person.
No.
Never have. But his ego leaves him completely open to manipulation.
All these guys, I've said it, and Lisa and I've had this conversation how many times? Alex Jones, your David Wilcox, any of these guys, they've all served an amazing purpose. They've all woken a shitload of people up. And I am thankful. I mean, David Wilcox's work that he did on the financial, what was the big series of called the articles? Financial tyranny articles. It was a major waking point for a fuck of a lot of people. I am not in any way, shape, or form, because like I said, even Alex Jones, as much as whether you love him or hate him, he has woken up a shitload of people. And I applaud them always. It's like I said, all these people, there's a bits of truth in all of the stuff that these guys bring forward. That's not what we're talking about. It's a matter of these people, and a lot of them, ego is one of the things where they get in. And we've seen David Wilcock get taken down by his ego. Watched it happen. Drake, personally, on a personal level, because I know Drake, watched it happen. And it's not that they're bad, necessarily saying that they're bad people. And we've all had our moments. I've been there, totally been there, where someone knows how to play on the ego and try and pull you in and get you involved in shit. I get it. That's not, I don't want people to think that that's.
Okay, I would add.
I wanted to add to that as well, because it's very important.
Yeah. But I would just simply look at the perspective of Tom Clearwater, how thesis is mainstream media, antithesis is alternative. Both of them are equal forces at this point, pretty close, and both of them are breaking down publicly, so that in Clearwater's thesis or theory is both of them need to break down so that people go look inside for their answers. They don't look at alternative or mainstream. That's the point.
And just the simple terms of alternative and mainstream, it's more division,
Yep,
more separation.
it is.
Yes, and this is what I'm saying. It's not that these people did a horrible thing or something. We all at some point been fucked with. Okay, let's just be honest here. We all been fucked with at one point or another by this invasive consciousness that is here. And this is the key. The key, I think, is that to understand that when these people or any of us come under influence of something, that what we need to do is we have the power within us to stand up and say, no, we can make turn around and say, no, I'm not following this because this is not my path. And so it's not instantly that that person is horrible and everything he ever said is horrible. No, we all watched David starting with his own stuff and he didn't even have it. So he started bringing people together. They had valuable information. And then at some point down there, and we probably, if we look back, those of people that followed him, you will recognize that at some point David stopped doing that and stop controlling the information and people that were coming to him with the information. So he, at some point, started to be controlling and inserted himself as a middleman that is in control of the information. So look back at that and understand how this infiltration works in alternative media. It's very, very soft and you know, next thing you know, it's the person is twisted and twisting some valuable information, because that's all they can do is twist our own spiritual awakening against us.
To answer Teresa's question, why are we all here? And I assume you mean here in this room together. For me, it's about sharing information. It's about coming together in community. It's about sharing our experiences and our knowledge and our insights. Because yes, the answers are within each of us, but often we are triggers for each other to finding those answers, or even figuring out the right questions to ask. That's what these rooms are for me.
Yeah, it's a journey.
Yes,
And we ask the question.
And it's an awakening journey, and there's realizations, and we all know that we are not in the reality that we liked. We don't like this reality, so let's do something to change it. And before we can change it, let's realize and agree that we are, if we agree to change it, can change it, instead of arguing who is having more information or who's making more money on esoteric knowledge. Let's forget about that, and let's actually be that, and let's do that what we say we can do, that we can create reality, the creators. So why can't we do this without, you know, just taking one side or another? If we do that, and this
Lee, can you mute while you're not talking and the rooster is, please? Because he's ear piercing in my ear. I wanted to, maybe you did address it when I was gone, but I just wanted to get your take on that concept that Jeff was sharing earlier about not choosing a positive or a negative path, dimension, timeline, just creating something completely new. You made a comment in regards to the third option in the chat room. Did you elaborate on that already?
Yeah, that is the third option, or like Jeff was saying, that Tom Clearwater calls it, whatever.
The antithesis, synthesis.
Which is we know that we do hold that timeline within us because we are the creator beings. We just need to find it within. Because
Would it
that's
be-
the only place that has not been invaded by this consciousness is
You
you,
talk about Earth's
the
timeline.
organic original you that is the creator you that is within. Yes.
Do you think, I'm trying to find the words to explain this, do you think Earth's timeline is that third option, that 0 point, that, and by tuning to that, I'm trying to use your terminology.
Yes. If we
or is it
operate
something else
from
again?
0 point and go from just being in stillness into create reality,
Jeff just said something.
if we turn and do that, then we create our own timeline.
Jeff just said spontaneous creation isn't co-opted yet. Now, what does that remind
Exactly.
you of, Claire? See, when we were all hanging out together in Morocco, and there was some kind of activity or doing going on, we were always encouraged to be very, very observant, be in the moment, and be spontaneous. Because the more we changed things up, the more we stayed in the moment and spontaneous, the less interference we had, because our actions and our steps couldn't be preempted and co-opted or interfered with. So whether it was because people have the ability to energetically sort of psychically look down timelines, or whether they're using technology or whatever, and they can look at the most probable course of action. But when we really played it up and stayed in the moment and just went with things that caught our attention, so to speak, we still achieved our goal, and we did it in a really fun way, and it kind of flowed. So thank you for that reminder. Being spontaneous and being in the moment, yes.
Because that's when pure creation happens. That's when it's you. That's when it's our reality. This is the thing, Lisa, and all this other things that we had until, you know, when we can understand what it is really all about. And then when we understand what it really means and what value we hold as a creator beings. But to know that value of ourselves, we have to go within, because that's the only part that has not been tempered with. It's our inner space as creator beings. We always had it. And throughout time, we left ourselves, as Kara St. Louis like to say, you know, we left sticky notes on ourselves, reminders of some very deep, ultimate truth, you know, all is within. Things like that, that throughout history, we left for ourselves. So then we can remember right now where we can find the creator being, because the only way out of this reality is to create new.
Cami just said, I can't find my sticky notes. Yeah, I know how you feel.
I lost quite a few too.
But I actually want to personally thank each and every one of you guys who join these rooms week in, week out, because it's your comments, whether they're in the chat room or whether you come out and make, you know, open your mics up and talk. Oh, excuse me. But you guys act as triggers for me all the time. And I just feel like this is a joint venture. We're all doing this together. And we often have more questions than answers, and we speculate and we hypothesize and we share.
We speculate and we hypothesize. I like it because that's what we do. We ask lots of questions and we talk openly of what our thoughts and our ideas are, and we throw it out there for everyone to discuss and to look at. And next week, a new piece could come along that changes that hypothesis completely. You never know.
The other thing is, and this is, I wanted to talk about this today, but I haven't put that up, obviously. Some of you have gone off on your own research tangents based around different things, different subjects that have come up on the show over the last sort of 4 to 6 weeks. Either in a broad scale, or you've really fine-tuned in on one little aspect of something and you've done some digging. So we've been overwhelmed with information, links to articles, videos, your own personal experiences and insights and all kinds of things. And I even wanted to just open the show up to all of you so that you can share all that stuff. But we might try and do that next week. Because some of you have dug up some pretty cool information. You've expanded upon the subject matters, quite a bit. So for next week, because there'll be people who didn't get to join us this week, we will endeavour to have the room opened up to a much larger numbers, and hopefully get you guys be prepared to come on and share the rabbit holes you've been delving into and the information you've come up with. Don't leave it up to us to present it. We want to give you guys the chance to come on and share it yourselves and the journey that you've had with it, and the insights you've had and the realizations that you've had as you've been doing this stuff. If that's okay with everybody, that's what I'd love to do next week before we, as a kickoff to our, 24-hour global little gathering. I think that's what I personally would like to do. Because partly being selfish, because I can't contain all this information in my own head anymore. Yeah. So you guys need to come out and share it yourselves. I know it's been on all the subjects, timelines, World War II, Hitler, magic, vaccinations, all sorts of things. You guys have really gone crazy, and it's been awesome trying to even catch up and keep up with you guys. We need a worldwide blackboard. Yes, we do.
Exactly, Cammie. That's exactly. I was actually just trying to think about that and going, I could possibly do something with Unfuckers. The Unfuckers website, which I've had to kind of abandon for the moment because I've just been so overwhelmed.
Don't go there.
What? Huh?
Don't go there. Don't go there.
Don't go where?
We have other plans. I know where you're going.
Okay, never mind. I shut up. Bye.
Okay. Is there any other stuff that's hit the global scene that, because there is so much, that you want to just touch on? Because I had all kinds of links for articles and stories for this week, but
really seriously, like I said, I'm going to put together a Transpicuous News after this. I was going to do it right after the show, but I can't because I had to reboot my computer, so I've lost all. I got to go pull up every one of the links again to do it. So I'll do it sometime today. Just crazy stuff. The Panama Papers, fucking insane. Ukraine's falling apart. The Icelandic government has just been pulled down. People are rioting in the streets in London over Cameron.
There's about another revolution to happen in Ukraine.
Oh, Senate. I can never say his name. Yatsenyuk, whatever. Just Prime Minister of Ukraine just resigned. Poroshenko is, of course, been completely outed in the Panama Papers. The government's falling.
Plus, you've got all the marches happening in the US on Washington.
Massive
That we-
march on Washington this weekend,
ago.
and not a single word said. Massive marches in France. Like, holy shit, the French people are seriously fucked off. Seriously fucked off. Brazil.
Really? I'm going there in 3 weeks.
Oh, France?
Yes. Yeah.
And Venezuela?
Yeah. Venezuela? Oh, shit. Yeah, I mean, it's insane. Absolutely insane right now. And the Western media is really not talking about any of it.
Well, it's interesting about Iceland because a lot of the stuff that's come out of Iceland has been bullshit, in terms of what they've done, and they've taken back their government. They've taken over, they've jailed bankers and all that sort of stuff. A lot of it's been rubbish, but there might actually be something for real happening there at the moment.
Well, I kind of joked with that and said, even all the Icelandic people who were duped into thinking that they had a revolution and that they'd changed everything are now going, what the fuck? We didn't change anything. Okay, this time we're going to do it for real. Last time was just a dress rehearsal. This time we're really going to do it. So, I don't know. Interesting.
Okay, Cindy just wrote that she had a congressman in her living room telling her what might be in the Panama Papers, I think, about him.
Which was?
Yeah, I don't know. You got to elaborate.
Cindy, but come on, give us the goods. I want to hear the gossip. Come on, tell me what the congressman said.
He got up to some mischief in Israel.
Israel. Oh, really? He did a thing in Israel. Didn't they all?
Oh, and did you see that our Prime Minister apparently came out and said, our money just goes out for processing. It's not being laundered to, where was it?
Cayman.
Yeah. We only send our money to the Cayman Islands. Processing.
Processing. I'm like, that's the new politically correct way of saying money laundered. You got to launder it before you bring it back. I never said that. It was like this. It was like,
this congressman took money
say this
for it to set up a deal in Russia over a mine. Yeah, so I think the Panama Papers, but something's come out since the Panama Papers, has it not?
Oh, more stuff is going to come out. This is what I said in the last Transpacific News that I did, was the fact of, remember, these Panama Papers are one law firm in Panama, just one. And just in Panama, there are hundreds more. In Panama, Cayman Islands, Jersey, British Virgin, I mean, like all over the world, there are hundreds of these law firms that all this information. Reno, hello, Dawn. Yes, thank you. Reno is the new tax haven. There's been a lot of planes going in and out of Reno, a lot lately.
But that's been going on for ages, and it's supposedly been RV related.
Exactly, but when you realize that it's the new biggest tax haven, it's not fucking RV related. Or if it is, they've just conveniently set up the new tax haven to be in the place where all these cash outs are supposedly going to take place. Because you got to hide that money right away, right? Yeah.
I mean,
Mitt Romney in the Cayman Islands. This isn't new. Yeah, Wyoming is another tax haven. That's what they're saying. Like, the Panama Papers didn't out all the Americans because the Americans are hiding all their money in America legally by American laws. Yeah. This is just the first salvo, guys. This is what I said. First salvo.
Well, there's all these different things that has to happen. There's an action that's taken, and then there is reaction. But then to all of that, there is the plan action and plan reaction, right? And then if you add to that the third choice that's available, that fucks up some things.
Yeah.
And what if that third choice is available on every level? What if?
Meaning? Elaborate.
What if on every level right now, and this is why you guys were talking about that, Duncan was saying the magic doesn't work correctly anymore?
Mm-hmm.
Because the original magic is here. active. And so the original magic is fucking things up for their magic. That's why it's not working.
Well, how does that tie in with them, with these potential laws that they're trying to pass about magic?
This is because it activated the magic, original magic activated. So they're
Can you define original magic?
original creative source power.
I'm just turning my camera off a minute because I've got to walk around, but I'm still with you.
The dark creative force, the original dark, before the light. That's the original magic. Yeah. From, I think we've talked about it a little bit the first time I ever talked to you guys, but what they're trying to do is they're trying to lock it in again for another cycle.
Yeah.
You know? And so that's why all this preparation to lock it in, and they're going at it from every direction.
Well, this is a real esoteric push right now. I mean, we're seeing it in movies, we're seeing it in TV. There is a real push to the esoteric, and I actually just read something this week. It was really
to legalize or make it a man-made law.
Yeah, but
or
not
original.
Like almost like, kind of like for the next cycle is to be the
it's almost like trying to patent
esoteric cycle, the magic cycle, the Hogwarts cycle.
Mm-hmm.
Do you know what I mean? Like that's what they're almost kind of trying to set up. Lisa, were you here when we had that conversation? I'm trying to remember now.
I just said it's almost like they're trying to patent it.
Yeah. Got to patent the magic. Yeah, exactly. Very interesting.
Yes. And then we, that, and then whoever we supposedly agreed that we chose to represent us, whoever signs that contract, then we are in agreement to abide by that contract and give our magic under that law to them. Yeah.
Yeah. Is this a roundabout way of saying that, like if all of our iTech comes online, which will be seen as magical, that it will be owned?
Or they'll be able to put laws in place to keep people from using it?
No, it's like a musician signing a contract, right? So that everything you produce, every word you write, every note you write is owned
to the record label?
Belongs to the label. So
exactly.
That's kind of interesting, actually. I hadn't thought of that aspect.
That's contract with God. Whoever's next God is here to rule.
Well, doesn't it say something in a lot of the biblical text about all of your works belong to, the Creator? All of when you all of your works belong to them, right?
And they're still using their law machine that is there because it is the middleman sort of between that upholds that contract of humanity to the dark forces.
It's interesting because the whole Lucifer thing comes back again, because it's so funny since we've started asking that question, Lisa, about the whole what, who, etc. is Lucifer. Hold on, guys, shh. Go inside, please. And I don't know if it's just one of those things like once something is brought to your attention, you therefore notice it a lot more. So, for example, it seems like for the last 2 weeks, it's just been article after article after article talking about Lucifer, this, Luciferians, the Satanist Luciferians, etc. And we've been watching the TV show, Lucifer, which is up to episode 11, I think, played last night. I have to go see if I can download it. And it's been really interesting because, again, there's this play out. There's this you know, Lucifer, he got trapped into doing this job, becoming the devil. Because in this, the whole premise of the show is that Lucifer is the devil, is Satan, is etc. And he got trapped by God into playing this. God sent him down, and the other angel, who's always appears during the show, if you haven't seen it, is always saying, "Oh, you are our Father's favorite son," etc., etc. There's a lot of interesting, subtle interactions in this show. And you say, what are they perpetuating? What exactly is it that they're perpetuating with this continuous play? What are they setting up? I mean, we've had the continuous play out in the movies in Hollywood where the bad guys are actually good guys. You know, like Dracula. I'm just misunderstood. You know, Maleficent from, was it Snow White? I was trying I'm just misunderstood. I'm actually a really nice person. Frankenstein is another one. All these movies, the classic bad guys now being portrayed as good guys. Okay, very funny, Logan. The good guys are bad guys. And the good guys are bad guys. Okay, we have Batman versus Superman now. Now it's the two good guys. Oh, but which one's a bad guy? Because now they're fighting, etc., etc. What's
Yeah, but hang on, is that because everything has already been inverted? Everything is upside down, back to front and bullshit, so now things are being corrected?
Is it?
Or is it just more manipulation?
Exactly.
But either way, it's still always the duality, good versus bad.
Well, good versus
As
bad.
long as we get to the deeper
Up is down, dark is light.
Sorry, Lily, go ahead.
As long as we, the thing is to understand is that a lot of different versions of, events and things, if we can somehow reconcile that and get to sort of to the bottom of it, instead of trying to figure out who's, who is completely correct and who's completely wrong, because there's, and this is why I agree with there's so many people that are out there right now revealing that they've been infiltrated or something, but they brought some truth, and everybody holds some truth, and the rest of the truth, our own truth, is all within. And the more we go deeper, as long as whatever we need to do to reconcile all these different truths and make it so that we can go into a deeper truth and understand what's the deeper purpose of all of this.
That goes back to my objective, subjective thoughts. That
again, being the observer.
Well, I do believe that there is an objective truth. There is an objective reality, one that is not open and subject to interpretation or perception. But then on top of that, there is all this subjective truth, which is our personal truth viewed via our personal perception and experience and all of that. But my driving force has always been to get to that objective truth. And maybe what we're seeing, or I can look at it this way, is that potentially what I'm seeing is all of the subjective truth falling away to finally reveal some kind of objective reality. And whether that turns out to be that this is just a fucking simulation and we're all just avatars and whatever it is, because what it looks like, it doesn't matter what you look for. You can find the evidence. You will prove yourself correct, pretty much, in whatever hypotheses you can come up with. If you believe the Earth is a globe, you will find all the evidence you need for it. If you believe it's flat, you will find all the evidence you need for it. If you believe it's a concave ball, you will find all the evidence you need for it. We are constantly in the process of proving ourselves right. What? Go.
Or wrong. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. But
it's so funny because I had this conversation with myself, because Lisa's just had this, since I've arrived in Australia, she's just had this big reminder of the fact that Dani talks to herself continuously. Out loud. And she's had to all of a sudden go, oh, that's right. You do talk all the time, don't you? I had a conversation even with myself this morning of like when you're pulling pieces together, like for example, that article I sent to you, it was on the prepper site that was outlining all the financial shit that was happening. And I said to you, I have confirmed every single piece that they put together. Every piece I've confirmed. But it's how you tie the dots together. You can take the dots that you see and create a picture of what it is and how, and that's the perception how do you see this truth? So the truth is, yes, the Federal Reserve had an emergency meeting yesterday. That's what we call the objective truth. The subjective is why. Right? And it's so funny because that's what you were kind of saying is when we look at things, we always kind of interpret a lot of the shit that we see around us by obviously our own perspective. And it's colored by what we've just been reading the day before, what you've been studying, the rabbit holes you've been down skews that information, which is why it's all subjective. And it's why none of us really, have the absolute answers because we can only go from the subjective.
Jeff made a comment about, where did he put it? The objective truth is seeing what something is from observing it from the outside. And once you're in it, you can't see it for what it is. Once you're in it, it becomes subjective.
Mm-hmm.
That's a very clean, clear way of putting it.
Well, it is. We can look at something and I can say my shirt is purple, but there's other truths in there too. It all depends on how you're looking at it. And if someone else is wearing yellow sunglasses, it might be brown. Subjective.
Looks blue to somebody else.
It's you. Yeah, it's you to you on my screen. It looks blue. It's actually purple. There.
Okay. I think we've been doing 2 hours now. So
Yep.
If there's anything... What's that tapping noise?
That's Nick eating noisily on the other side.
Yeah.
He's finished eating now.
Logan's in the background waving his spoon around, so I thought he was tapping on the window.
Tink, tink, tink. No, it wasn't tapping on the window. It's the actual spoon hitting the china plate.
Yes, this show will be on at this time until time zones change again, until somebody goes into daylight saving or whatever. So we'll be sitting here for the next 6 months at this time, pretty much. Thank you to those who came out, Lily, Jeff, Dawn, for your attempts at
trying to get Duncan
on for us.
Yeah. We'll record something. We will get Duncan aside sometime this week. I'm setting the intention. It is going to happen. And whatever it is, we will just, as soon as we can get it, we'll record the conversation. And then we'll just release it.
Thank you to everybody. Sorry to those who couldn't get in live. We will do something about this next week. Also, don't forget, make some time after the show next week. Sometime in the 24 hours following next week's show. So we'll keep it open for 24 hours after next week's show, and we'll go from there.
Yep.
So whether you can arrange, I don't know, have some people over for dinner or breakfast or lunch or afternoon tea or something like that.
I just had a thought, Lise, with
That's good.
this new thing that we're going to add on to try and expand it. So I think it's 100 people. I believe that puts the 100 people in that secondary listening only room. So it would mean, I believe we'd still be able to have our 50 live attendance here and then have 100 people in that other room.
Okay. Well, we need to get onto it.
We could have 50 people with live things talking about what they're doing for the that 24-hour period, and other people would still be able to join and at least watch if they can't participate. But it would still give that people the ability to watch.
Okay. Well, let's. Jeff, if you're around, can we have a quick chat after this show.
After these messages, we'll be right.
All right, thanks, guys. It feels good to be back in a way.
In this reality.
In this reality. So thank you for helping ground me into it all. See you tomorrow for the collective imagination. And Dee, I will see you in a couple of days. And I believe there is a campfire chat happening after this.
Yes.
For those,
So,
I think the
campfire chat will be put in the unfuckers room. The number.
So we'll talk to you soon. And bye for now.
Bye, everyone.